Have you ever faced a situation that felt completely impossible? A challenge so huge you couldn't see any way out? Today, we're diving into one of the most incredible survival stories ever told, a tale of faith, courage, and a seemingly inescapable fate. We're talking about Daniel and the night he spent in a den of hungry lions. This isn't just an old story, it's a powerful lesson about holding onto your beliefs, even when the world is against you. So, who was Daniel? He wasn't just an ordinary guy. Living as an exile in the mighty Babylonian Empire, Daniel had risen through the ranks to become one of the most trusted advisors to the king. He was known for his wisdom, his integrity, and his unwavering devotion to his God. In a court filled with intrigue and jealousy, Daniel stood out. He was brilliant, honest, and people noticed. But his success and his strong moral compass also made him a target. The story really heats up under the reign of King Darius. The king admired Daniel so much that he planned to put him in charge of the entire kingdom. You can imagine how well that went over with the other high-ranking officials. They were consumed with jealousy. They watched Daniel's every move, trying to find some fault, some mistake they could use against him. But they couldn't. Daniel was blameless in his duties. He was loyal to the king and meticulously honest. Frustrated, they realized there was only one way to trap him, through his faith. They knew Daniel prayed to his God 3 times a day, every single day, without fail. So they devised a cunning and cruel plan. They went to King Darius and, with flattery and manipulation, convinced him to sign an irrevocable decree. The law stated that for the next 30 days, anyone who prayed to any god or human other than the king would be thrown into the lion's den. They framed it as a way to solidify the king's authority, a loyalty test for the entire kingdom. The king, not suspecting their true motives, signed the decree. And because it was a law of the Medes and Persians, once signed, not even the king himself could change it. Now, put yourself in Daniel's shoes. He hears about this new law. He knows exactly what it means and who it's targeting. He has a choice. He could pray in secret. He could stop praying for 30 days. Or he could continue his lifelong practice, knowing the terrible consequence. What would most of us do? The instinct for self-preservation is strong. But Daniel's faith was stronger. He went home, opened his windows that faced Jerusalem, and just as he had always done, he got down on his knees and prayed. He didn't hide. He didn't waver. He chose faithfulness over fear. This wasn't an act of defiance against the king, but an act of ultimate loyalty to his God. Of course, his enemies were watching. They had their gotcha moment. They rushed back to the king, gleefully reporting that Daniel, his most trusted advisor, had broken the new law. The king was devastated. He realized he had been tricked. The Bible says he was greatly distressed and spent the entire day trying to find a loophole, a way to save Daniel. But his hands were tied. The law was absolute. As evening fell, with a heavy heart, the king gave the order. Daniel was brought to the den of lions. Imagine the scene, a pit filled with powerful, hungry predators. A place of certain death. As they were about to throw him in, the king said something remarkable to Daniel, "May your God, whom you serve continually, rescue you." It's a fascinating statement. Even this powerful pagan king had seen something so real and powerful in Daniel's faith that he held out a sliver of hope for a miracle. They cast Daniel into the den and sealed the entrance with a large stone, stamping it with the king's own signet ring. There would be no escape. That night, no one slept. Daniel was in the dark with the lions. And King Darius was in his palace, fasting, refusing any entertainment, and tossing and turning with worry. He was tormented by the thought of what he had allowed to happen to his faithful friend. The minutes must have felt like hours. There was like an eternity. At the first light of dawn, the king rushed to the lion's den. His voice was filled with anguish as he called out, "Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God, whom you serve continually, been able to rescue you from the lions?" Think about the tension in that moment. A silent, sealed tomb. The king calls out, probably expecting to hear nothing but an echo. And then, a voice comes from the pit. It's Daniel. He says, "May the king live forever. My God sent his angel, and he shut the mouths of the lions. They have not hurt me, because I was found innocent in his sight. Nor have I ever done any wrong before you, your majesty." Can you even imagine the king's relief and astonishment? A miracle had happened. The lions, which should have torn Daniel apart in seconds, hadn't even touched him. They were as harmless as kittens. The king was overjoyed. He commanded that Daniel be lifted out of the den immediately. And when they brought him out, there wasn't a single scratch on him. The reason the Bible gives is simple: because he had trusted in his God. His faith wasn't just a belief system, it was an act of trust that had a real-world, life-saving impact. But the story doesn't end there. The king was not only relieved, he was also furious at the men who had manipulated him and plotted against Daniel. In a swift and harsh act of justice, he ordered that Daniel's accusers, along with their entire families, be thrown into the very same lion's den they had intended for Daniel. The Bible records that before they even reached the floor of the den, the lions overpowered them and crushed all their bones. It's a grim detail, but it starkly illustrates the very real danger Daniel had faced and the magnitude of the miracle that saved him. Following this incredible event, King Darius issued another decree, this time to all the nations and peoples of his vast empire. But this decree was very different from the first one. It commanded everyone to fear and reverence the God of Daniel. He declared, "For he is the living God, and he endures forever. His kingdom will not be destroyed. His dominion will never end. He rescues and he saves. He performs signs and wonders in the heavens and on the earth." He has rescued Daniel from the power of the lions. So, what can we take away from this amazing story? It's a powerful testament to the strength that comes from unwavering faith. Daniel's story teaches us about integrity, courage, and the importance of staying true to our convictions, even when it's the hardest thing to do. It shows that true courage isn't the absence of fear, it's acting despite the fear. Driven by a deeper trust in our own lives, our lions' dens might not have actual teeth, but they can be just as terrifying. It could be peer pressure, a difficult ethical decision at work, standing up for what's right when everyone else is silent, or facing a personal crisis that feels overwhelming. Daniel's experience is a reminder that when we stand firm in our beliefs and trust in a power greater than ourselves, we can find the strength to face any challenge. His story has echoed through centuries because it speaks to a fundamental human hope, that in our darkest hour, we are not alone, and that faith can truly move mountains or, in this case, shut the mouths of lions. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into one of history's most epic stories. If you found this inspiring, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more content that explores these timeless tales. Let me know in the comments what you think is the biggest lesson from Daniel's story. Until next time, stay curious and stay courageous.